Reconstruct profile. Confirm pre-service history.
On the other end of the spectrum, Western developers had set out to try and create a new and old type of gaming experience, one that can be said to be more true to the RPG's gaming roots. Games began being produced that allowed players to create their own heroes and define a character's own history. Your character became a part of the story, and you could even render their psychological profile, to borrow a phrase.
Confirm facial identification.
Right now in the RPG world, we are seeing a divide form between the East and the West, with the JRPG and, well, the Western RPG. And frankly, it'd appear like the former is winning in many regards. The reasoning most probably is that people not only want to play a game, but now that the technology is available, they want to star in it. Given the option to play as a pre-rendered, oftentimes angsty, effeminate teenager, or the freedom to select my character's race, class, gender, sexuality, or personality, be it a lizard man, a cat man, or perhaps even the love child of Morgan Freeman and Mr. Burns, well, I know what I want to play as.
Great. I'm sure you'll fit right in.
Games like those from the Elder Scrolls series or Mass Effect have also introduced new elements of gameplay to the RPG, such as first-person shooter modes and non-turn-based combat. But while those games are RPGs first and shooters second, the opposite goes for FPSs or MMOs with some RPG elements. Sorry to sound like a purist or a jerk, but experience points and crits do not automatically make a game an RPG. So what does? Well, with players now designing characters and role-playing as them in these dynamic stories, the next logical step would be to let them help tell the story themselves by acting out important scenes and making important storyline decisions. You'll see here that Morgan has sent me to kill Flemeth and steal her grimoire as proof.
But it is an old story. One that Flemeth has heard before, and even told. Let us skip right to the ending, shall we? Do you slay the old wretch as Morrigan bids, or does the tale take a
See that now I have the options. I can either confront her directly and just kill her, or I can try a more diplomatic approach. I think here I'm going to first see what she recommends.
Tell her I am slain.
After some deliberation, I think I'll take her advice and maybe just take the grimoire and leave her be. Now, for those of you at home who haven't played this game, keep in mind that while Flemeth might look like an old lady and killing her might seem wrong, trust me when I say she's pretty much an embodiment of pure evil.
Yes, fun. Tricking Morgan. Oh, who am I kidding? That does sound fun. I'm a bad man.
A tangled web you weave, Warden. I hope it's for good cause.
So while Alistar liked that, as it's plain to see, apparently Wynne didn't. So, with Flemeth being the root of all evil or some such thing, let's try this time to confront her, and I swear to you this is the good decision. This is the righteous thing to do, and unfortunately, like in real life, no good deed goes unpunished. And make no mistakes, when I talk about an evolution in options in games, I'm talking about real options here. Proof of a game offering real options is having real consequences to those actions. Although Chrono Trigger is a more traditional RPG, as you can clearly tell by the art style and the fact that it's from the Super Nintendo, few can argue its greatness. As one of the first games to offer multiple endings depending on how you played the game, it became clear that although you didn't create the character Chrono, you were role-playing him. By the end of the game, if you'd done everything right and really played the part, you were given a hero's reward. You would save the past, present, future, the kingdom, the princess, and it all. No, really, see, they are actually going to start celebrating him and not execute him. It's all part of an elaborate practical joke, and really there's nothing as funny as making someone think they're about to be executed. Of course, on the other end of the spectrum, if you make a ton of mistakes in the gameplay, well, much like in real life, sometimes you wake up and you're a dinosaur.
Have to talk. What is it, Boo?
Fable is a polarizing title in the gaming world, and I'm not going to give my opinion here on it. But one advance the franchise brought us was that our actions would not only have consequences at the end of the game, but during it as well in regards to the story and how NPCs would interact with us. In games like this and Knights of the Republic, your reputation literally preceded you. The modern RPG is no longer reliant on turn-based combat to establish itself as being an RPG. Storytelling, character development, and in-game options have evolved to the point where, in some instances, a game genre is actually difficult to distinguish. Games like Valkyria Chronicles, for example, which are in essence turn-based strategy games, serve as a perfect example of the growth of RPGs, with a huge cast of enjoyable characters, a class system, upgradable gear, character-specific talents, a vastly engrossing storyline, and more than one heart-wrenching scene. It's clear that the only difference between it and some of the classic role-playing games featured here are superficial elements of combat. So what does the future hold for the RPG? Well, first off, and this will certainly date the video in a few months, with games like Skyrim, Dragon Age 2, and Mass Effect 3 on the horizon, the future actually looks quite bright. Square's also started a return to form with the controversial Final Fantasy XIII, which at the very least brought the franchise back to what it does best, telling stories about interesting characters. Also, while I have stated that MMOs don't by default count as RPGs, they have the potential to be, and it would be unfair to flat out say they can't be, particularly for those individuals who actually do play on RP servers. So now I hope you see how role-playing games have evolved to the point that they're at today, and what they offer us. A small vacation from ourselves and reality through engaging characters and engrossing stories. It really is no wonder that so many take place in a setting called fantasy. Until next time, I'm Joe. Thanks for watching.